You're listening to the Writer's Block Podcast with L.A. Wade.
Who is Big Norm and how did you get here?
Who is Big Norm? Big Norm is a guy from Scarborough. Filipino-Canadian boy, born and bred and raised in Scarborough. Fell in love with music at a young age, particularly R&B, soul, and hip-hop. Tried pursuing a young career in R&B, then realized maybe this is not my calling. The world may not be ready for a Filipino Usher or Filipino Cisco in 2001. So
I know Bruno tried his thing. Bruno's good.
Well, that's the thing. Like, after I gave up on my dreams, Bruno Mars came out a few years later, and I was like, damn it, Norm, you could have done it. But
for me, you can still do it because I've heard you sing. You sang. You don't kind of just sing. You sing.
Come on now. Yeah, so music was my first love, and it happened because I was lazy. My mom was a musician. She plays the guitar, the piano. My sister plays the piano very well. And when my mom was trying to teach me and get me into lessons, I was like, I don't want to do it, man. I could sing. Just let my voice be the instrument, you know? Yeah. And then all I had to do was learn the melodies, and then that was it. Maybe the lyrics, but I suck at lyrics too. Like, I can't remember lyrics for my life.
I'm bad at that too.
You know? I'm the guy that makes up lyrics or just, you know, just to
yeah, but it won't matter if you can sing. When I do it, it's really weird.
Yeah, it just sounds like you're so unsure of yourself when you're singing. But yeah, from that, so that just sparked my interest for performing. Tried rapping for a little bit because, you know, every kid in Scarborough at one point in their life wants to try rapping. And then I landed in comedic hosting because I was hosting parties, and I would always host it with this comedic flair. And that was kind of my calling card, you know, while everybody's trying to be cool, I was being an idiot, just saying some funny shit on the microphone. And then when I was like, all right, when some people were trying to push me to do some acting and people were like, yo, try stand up. I'm like, I don't know if I'm stand up funny. But then I was in a musical theater project. It was a musical web series, actually. It was the first of its kind. It was called Prison Dancer. And I met some dude on set, Ron Jossel, one of the OG comedians in Canada, Filipino comedians in Canada. And he was like, tell me a joke. I told him something I normally say funny, like some funny ditty that I say at bars or at parties. And he's like, yeah, that's a good joke. You should go on stage, try it out. He called up Yuck Yucks and said, you're on the next day. You're on tomorrow.
Come on.
And I was like, what the hell? So I was like, all right, I'm not gonna be a little punk. I'm gonna go. I'll do this and see how it feels. I went out, killed it, and I felt that dopamine hit, and I was like, ooh. You know, it's the same feeling you get when like I was a church boy too, right? So I would mainly sing in church, and when you would, like, I would sing in all the churches in the Seventh-day Adventist circuit.
Oh, right? Wow. You were Seventh Day too?
I grew up Seventh-day Adventist.
That's like the real Christians.
It's like, it's like Christian to the bone. All right. Like, it's not just religion, it's science too. Like,
it really is. They don't play.
No games there. But certain churches I would sing, and I know they wouldn't care for the certain singing flair, so I just sing regular. But at certain like black churches or Jamaican churches, like I know I could let loose, and they'd be like, "Ooh!" And the reaction you get is at the black churches. I was like, "Ooh!" That's the same feeling I would get when I perform comedy and get some laughter. So I was like, "Ooh, this is that feeling. I love this. So let me keep it going." And it's been 13 plus years. It's been 13 years.
That's crazy. You're so talented. I think Trix referred to it as the gas. He's like, when you first get that gas.
When you don't get me started. Like once it gets you going, it's like the snowball effect. You keep on throwing back the laughter, I'm gonna keep on throwing back the jokes, and the laughter and the jokes are going to continue until it just balls up to this big, dope moment in time. And it's just like, and it just settles in your core memory bank. And then you just move on in your day and feel good for the next day.
Oh my God. I'm seeing visuals of Inside Out. Did you see that?
Yeah. I haven't seen the second one. I want to see the second one, though.
The second one's dope too, because they have new characters that are going on inside of her. I'm just going to give this to you because I can't help but create on the spot when I get something inspirational. But as a bit, it would be really dope to see you provide the same, the different characters in Inside Out, but with the same theme or whatever the action item is, whatever the situation is, but how each person would deal with it. I think you would kill that. And when you see the new one, when you see the new one, you'll see why. There's a lot of good material there for you. And I want to be at the show when that happens, by the way.
Please
I
do.
seen you live only once. And now I'm kicking myself after seeing you that one time. I was like, shit, I've been missing this guy this whole time. This guy is hilarious. You're really, really talented.
Thank you very much.
It was a no-brainer to want to put you into the movie, even in the smallest capacity, because the idea is it's not really a movie, so to speak. It's a proof of concept to try to get an ongoing TV series. And with that, then I hope to be able to reach back for people like Trix, Sharona, all of the people that were a part of making this, and be like, let's see if we can keep this going. I mean, why not? It's a neurotic enough story that includes enough difference that,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we can do the damn thing. But let's still stick around to where you are with like family, because I didn't know that you were coming from a Seventh-day background, which really is interesting to me in terms of how that influenced your ability to pursue comedy. Because I mean, comedians say sometimes the most outrageous things that I'm guessing, they're praying for you hard at church, hoping that you're going to be all right.
Here's the thing, man. I was always the kid in Sabbath school, always asking the questions.
Good.
Not to be annoying, but just because, like, I don't want to I understand the concept of faith.
Yes.
But I don't like the concept of blind faith, where it's just like when there's no more answers, it's just like, well, at the end of the day, you just got to have faith, right? And, cool, I'll have faith, but then also, like, don't act like you know everything. Just admit that you know and know that you don't know, right?
Exactly.
And maybe that's where the faith lies. It's like, well, I guess I will never find the answers, but I still have my faith, Cool, yes. I get that. But,
and in that way, that's kind of like a blind faith in that sense that I won't know all the answers, but I don't know how to handle a person just like me telling me how to believe or what the fundamentals of what that should look like. So I get that.
Yeah. When it's imposed on you, it's kind of like, hey, whoa. Really? Is that really how it is? Like, that's the only way? Like, if God is a just God, then don't you think he'd be cool with it being done this way? And if you're like, anyways, I'm not here to discuss like all my little.
No, I know, but the reason why
I'm the guy that questioned all the time, and I would ask funny questions, right? Because in the Adventist church, you're not allowed to wear jewelry, right? Here I am, got my chain, you know what I'm saying? And by the way, it's all fake because I lose shit all the time. So like, I'm not about to lose something that's super expensive. Like, get out
right? We don't want nobody rolling up on Norm.
Exactly. You want to rob me? Or please take it. Here, I'll break it too. It's not even real. So,
Urban Planet here.
You know what I'm saying? But I was supposed to be. They wanted me to be a pastor, right? Because I just had this presence on stage where I wasn't afraid to go on stage and do scripture reading or do prayer or song service, and I just always try to add a little bit of humor to liven up church, because church was always so boring to me. And they were always like, oh, you could be a pastor, you know that, Norman, you could be the good pastor. And then eventually I got offered this scholarship to become a pastor. It was a theology scholarship to any Seventh-day Adventist university in the world, but I just had to graduate from a Seventh-day Adventist high school. So I picked up and left Scarborough in my last semester of high school to go to this private school in Oshawa called Kingsway College. And I was when I was in Scarborough, I was 1 foot in the streets, 1 foot in the church.
Right.
You know what I mean? Grew up in the hood, TCHC housing. You know what I mean? It happens, right? But, when I did my third, I made sure to come back and, do my cleanse. try and be balanced in that sense. But eventually, when I went to this school thinking, okay, I'm going to be these goody two shoes, I'm going to be good. I got there and I realized this is where all the bad breeds are sent when the parents want them to, smarten up. And there's all these kids, that are children of rich delegates or rich Adventists in other countries. So like kids from Dominican, kids from Jamaica, kids from, Japan, China, Spain, everywhere. You know what I mean? All in this one school in Oshawa. And I'm this guy from Scarborough, and I had mad family in Whitby. So whenever I go to the school on the weekends, I could leave because the family would sign me out, but the rest of them would just be sitting there. Right. And when I got there, I had my braids or whatever, and they're just like, this guy, my goodness. He's a cool he could probably get us some shit. So right away, all these people started asking me, like, hey man, we heard you from Scarborough, and if you leave on the weekends, would you be able to get us some things and bring it back to us? And I was like, yo man, I left that shit behind, man, to come here to try and be a better person.
Right?
I'm trying to be a pastor. You can't be asking me for this stuff. I left that life behind me, man. And then I got into this argument with my father and my over like tuition, because I didn't realize we had to pay tuition at that school and for that semester, and it was like 10 G's for the one semester, and I was like, oh wow. We're trying to figure out who's going to pay for it. There was some arguing. They're divorced, so like for this to come back together, I just got in the middle of it. Long story short, I busted this mirror. Or I busted this while I was talking with my dad. I punched this window, cut up all the tendons in my hand. I was freaking out. The pastor comes down and is like, what's going on, Norm? And I'm just like, what's going on? What's going on? I'm selling drugs in the school so I can become you, pastor.
Don't tell me.
You know what I mean? And then my dad's on the other end of the phone. I'm just like, I'm arguing with my family. It's got so much turmoil just so I can be closer to God. And look what I've done. I've ruined the lives of all these kids. I'm drugging them up. I'm selling weed to your daughter. Like, it was so dramatic. And I look back, after it happened, when I think back, I'm like, that's whenever I channel anything acting, I remember that moment.
How can you not?
I have to like channel like that moment when I was just like, if ever there was a scene in your movie, Norm, of like your autobiography, that biopic, there would be that scene.
Yeah.
Like, I'm selling drugs to your daughter, so I can be a pastor just like you.
Oh my God. That
blood
reminds me of
down my hand. Just
I was just watching it on IG, this reenactment of a Tyler Perry movie, and every time you're talking, all I can see is the same kind of like overreactions and all of these different things. Hilarious. But you know what?
I bring up that whole story only because you talked about church and whatnot, but it does play a big part in who I am, my comedy, my comedy style, and my singing style. Everything that I do, that history, that part of my life, has a big part of that. So
absolutely, I'm curious because I know how pervasive being socialized into an environment like that can be on us. So at some point, I hear so many Seventh-day Adventists talk about back when they were in the church. And at one point, I'm like, is this place Wakanda? And they just needed to maintain the lie, because it seems like everybody seems to have the same kind of stories. So I don't know what's going on there. And this is not about Seventh-day Adventists, but I was just wondering, how do you get over that programming as a block in order to free yourself to wear jewelry, to tell the jokes that may not be something that's accepted there? How do you overcome that within yourself?
Yeah, I always wondered how people would, like, growing up while I was still indoctrinated into the religion. I always wondered, like, how could people leave the church, and backslide or whatever, they'd call us backsliders, Seventh-day Adventists. Um, I,
That one.
I always wondered how they could do it, but as I got older, I could see why. And
Mm,
not to say it's a bad place, it works for the people it works for, so I'm not gonna knock it. Like my mother is the sweetest woman in the whole wide world, and everything about her existence is pure, godly, and just the perfect servant of Christ, and just such a good model minority and
it's
human
amazing.
being. Just the essence of her is just perfect,
Right.
and a big part of that is her devotion to the church. So who am I to knock the church and knock her and then knock the religion? It's just
Right.
not for me. Because
Right.
I always used to ask something into some of the pastors, or once again the questioning. I'd always say like, "Hey, man, how do you guys feel about your ancestors not knowing who God was or Jesus
Right.
Christ?" And the only time they found out is when these guys came on these ships and forced it upon you and said, "Hey, die or claim Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, and take
Right.
the Spanish last name while you're at it." You know, like I'm cool with that. I like these Spanish last names. Like all the
We
cousins in
kind of
my
do.
family, Perez, Lopez, Mayo, Rojas, Rodas, Alconcel. Like we have these beautiful Spanish last names with these little jungle Asian faces. It's amazing.
Don't kill me. Jungle Asian faces. That's a first. Oh man, that is hilarious. Okay, well, okay. So what I do, I like to go through quotes as a way of like opening that up a little bit more. So doing God's, and I think this is something you said, doing God's work, filling people's souls with hilarity and good vibes. So I understand the context of what that means, but how do you balance the different aspects of who you are with what it is you want to do? Like I heard you were a chef. I heard that I know that you do comedy. I learned that you were a singer. What drives these commitments to those passions, and how do you balance getting the fulfillment of doing them?
I think the driving force comes from, once again, like I speak on my mother and her essence, and just how
Mhm.
she just lays such a nice positive um like trail, like behind everything that she passes is just light, you know what I mean? So I've always wanted to be that type of person around people, like just know that my energy and my presence was always felt in a positive manner. And there's nothing that makes people feel better than music, food, and laughter. Okay,
It's so true. I'm
so
sorry.
as a chef and as a comedian and as a musician, like I'm feel like, well, mainly as a chef and a comedian, I'm filling your belly with food and laughter.
Mm-hmm.
And if music is food for the soul, I'm filling your soul bellies. You know what I mean? But all those three things make people happy, and I feel once again that snowball effect. When I feel maybe this is something a Filipino thing, it's ingrained in us. Servitude is kind of ingrained in us as a result of
Mm.
four different colonizers, and just it's an unfortunate trait, but it's also an
Yes.
endearing trait to have. Like as a result of knowing how to serve so well for
Yes.
so many different colonizers over the years, we've become really, really good at servitude. And
Mm-hmm. That's
but
it's
it's
interesting.
not like master. It's more now. You should do this because it's the right thing to do. It's how you make people love you and want you around, or want to give you the, that's why we're one of the largest spread diasporas in the world, Filipinos, because they say we do our work with a smile, and there's,
Yeah.
you know,
Sometimes we take a lot on the chin too, though, because like especially
yeah,
on the cruise ships, I notice a lot of like it's not right. It's
shit
just
hurts
not
my
right.
soul.
But that's what happens when you do serve. People will take advantage. They'll keep taking until you draw a line and be like, "Nah,
Yeah,
we got to draw the line." Okay, let's move away from some of that kind of feeling.
yeah,
I
but all
want
that
to
to
know.
be said, it's just
Yeah,
I the reason I do what I do, and all my comedy comes from a place of wanting to make people feel good, because it makes me feel good, and then it makes me feel uh, inspired to make you feel even better, and then it's just, once again, that snowball effect of just that big
yeah,
ball of goodness. You know?
that's dope. You mentioned prison dancer, and I read something about they called you in the spirit of Kobe, they called you the brown mamba because you apparently just were like dedicated to the game.
Well, that being the one dude that was green in the musical theater world, there was two of us that never really did it.
Okay.
Myself and my homeboy Dominique Brillantes, beautiful name.
Yeah.
We were the only two people that didn't have a musical theater background, and we were both Seventh-day Adventists.
What?
We're the only two Adventists on the cast, and we just had this bond. But anyways,
He called you the brown mamba?
Oh, yeah, the brown mamba. I felt the need to really, really overcompensate and go hard and show them, hey man, I know you guys expect me to be the weakest chain in the link, but I'm gonna bust my ass and show you like I ain't no slump, you know?
Right?
You guys brought me here for a reason. It's called Prison Dancer. This can't be a bunch of like fruity musical dudes in jail, you know what I mean? Like there's still gotta be some grit. It's jail. So bring the Scarborough boy in to bring that. You know, that's what I'm here for. So don't make me go too crazy. Like it was hard for me to do all these dance numbers and choreography and get my Pippin hands and Potter berets and New Yorks and whatnot. But hey, man, it was probably one of the greatest experiences I've ever had, and I was so happy to dedicate myself to that craft for a few months. I went on a keto diet. I was working out. I lost like 20 pounds. Oh, wow. I learned how to do choreographed dance. I'm singing on stage at the National Arts Center and at
That's not easy.
Yeah, this is not easy for a first timer. But I took all my comedy experience, church stage experience. I was in an R&B group. We used to sing at parties and events and whatnot, and talent shows and competitions. So all that culminated to that moment, and that's what spawned kind of my whole entertainment career, really.
That's so dope. And what I hear you saying is that like you had to draw for things that you did know in order to show up for what you didn't. And that's a really great way to unblock yourself.
Right.
And that's
one of the ways that I overcame imposter syndrome.
That's dope.
No, you belong here. You've done shit. It may not align exactly with the principles of musical theater, but you know you're the best singer in this bitch, Norm. Come on, stop okay?
I love it.
Hey. But you're not the best dancer, so work on your dancing, and that was the most oof.
Well, I
got bounce, but when it's like 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9 and 1, please,
you gotta hit it every time.
Woo!
You see, I think that this is all conspiring to have you do an R&B career after all. Bruno Mars don't have dance moves like you. Learned that shit.
Bruno can dance, though. Bruno can dance.
Trust me, I know, but I'm saying.
He was dancing. You seen him with the Jabberwockies? That boy can dance. Come on now.
I think this is your inspiration. Oh my goodness.
Real quick.
No worries. Man. Okay, so I feel like all of that prison dancing and doing all of that stuff that you weren't used to set you up to get onto platforms like Just for Laughs. Like that's a huge festival. The Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Network. Come on, stop the madness. So my question is, how do you prepare for such high profile performances? And again, where did you go inside to show up for yourself in those spaces?
So funny story. I got caught up in Taiwan on a layover in Taiwan on my way to the Philippines.
Okay.
I was doing a work trip in Jamaica, doing some product research with the dispensary that I worked at. And when I got home, I had 4 hours to repack and go to the Philippines. And I guess the pair of pants that I had some crumbs of a little some.
Oh, shit. In Taiwan?
Taiwan, where it's highly illegal.
Right.
10 years minimum. type 2 drug up there with opium and cocaine and all that stuff.
Oh,
I'm like, this is a legal substance, man, in Canada. But anyways, long story short, I get caught up. I get caught up in 7 months of legal limbo in Taiwan.
No.
2-day layover. I was stuck in Taiwan for 7 months, trying to figure out how to get home.
Holy shit. That's crazy.
That experience was a huge experience in itself. But the moment I got home off the plane, so I was still talking back home to everybody in Canada, and they're like, yeah, so Kenny Robinson is doing a JFL showcase at the Nubian Night. It's the first time they ever requested him to use this show in 25 years.
That's crazy. Big up to Kenny.
Big ups to Kenny 100%. Just shot his Crave special for Nubian Night.
I love it.
Kevin Hart was like, this is LOL Network Kevin Hart. I need colored people. I need people of color. Why are you sending me all these Canadian white boys? Like, get us some color. So they went to the night. And Nubian Night is my home court. Like, I kill and smash every time I'm on that stage because everyone that I'm making laugh there are the people I grew up making laugh. So it's so easy for me. I'm like, everybody in that crowd is everybody I grew up with, right? So anyways, I get home and I'm not sure if I'm going to get home on time for the showcase. And I get home the day before the showcase, and they're like, all right, Norm, we're going to give you the last spot. We're just going to add you on. You're now home. Everyone's like on some free Norm shit. You know, I was in Taiwan, buddy. Can you believe I was backed up in jail in Taiwan? So I'm coming on some free Norm, right? I get home, and everyone's like, yeah, Norm. And I get on stage, and I'm like, you don't even know how good it feels to be home. And I'm just like, gave a performance of a lifetime because I'm like, I'm home, Canada, Nubian Nights, I'm free, just smashed. And this is after all, like Trick was on it, John Paul, Jay Martin, everybody that was a staple on the Nubian Night was given an opportunity to drop their best 7-8 minutes, and I had to follow everybody.
Holy crap! Like you're the headliner.
Pretty much headlining, because that was like, all right, Norm, you made it home. Here, boom, you're going last now. So smash, and then boom, I get the spot on Kevin Hart's LOL. Now the night before, I'm on a high horse. I'm like, yes, I got one more show. I have this birthday party. All right, this birthday party. I was informed, or at least I thought I was informed, that it was a Nigerian party for this dude that's turning 30. This girl wanted to have like exotic dancers dance for him while she dances with them, and there was like it was.
Oh wow!
And it was
ambitious,
right? Now I get there, and I sat with my Nigerian homie. We came to put together some Nigerian jokes. I get there, and they're like, oh shit, mom and dad showed up. They're not supposed to be here. So,
oh my gosh.
Comedian, can you go up? And kill time? Because we were about to bring the exotic dancers. And I was like, all right, yeah. And apparently the father is a pastor.
Oh my goodness.
Mom and dad is there, and they're like, they just stopped by to say hi. So while I was outside, I didn't realize Pops did this like elaborate prayer.
Oh wow.
Okay. So I go upstairs and I'm like, all right, what's up, everybody? Where my Nigerians at? I'm like, I guess they didn't make any noise. And I'm just like, I guess, they say, I just went on some Nigerian rant, and then someone like walking by on his way to the bar kind of had to like pass by me maybe 8 feet away, but he whispered loud enough and went, we're from Ghana. And I was like,
oh shoot! Oh no, that's not
all Ghanaian, bro.
That and you're Jamaican.
You know what I'm saying? So now all these people are like, yo, we're Ghanaian. We're not freaking from Nigeria. Why so they're already offset. I'm like, oh shit. And my boy's the DJ, and he's looking at me like, oh,
you're on your own.
Who told me they were Nigerian? What the heck? So So I'm like, all right, let me divert. And I go into like some Filipino jokes, making fun of my Filipino pastor.
Oh,
and his
shoot.
and I go into this prayer. Like, I only go to church to listen to my Filipino pastor pray. It's hilarious. Like, he'd be cussing and not even knowing it. Like, dear Heavenly Father, as we turn every shit of paper in the Bible today, we trust that every word of every shit is fact and actual fact, Lord. Every word of every shit is fact. And we trust all the facts on these shits, Lord. In your name we pray. Amen.
Oh,
And I open my eye. Normally, everyone's just dying. Normally.
yes.
Right? But silence. And I'm like, and I open my eyes and everyone's just like, the dad's a pastor. The dad's a pastor. You know? So
oh my God.
I lost the pops. I lost the Ghanaians. And I'm like, all right, Filipino jokes now, double down. You know, make fun of yourself, self-deprecate so you can make fun of yourself and people will laugh, you know?
Right.
I started making fun of Filipinos and Filipino women and their fobby voices, and how they sound when you make love to them, right? It's like a cheap joke I had earlier in my career.
Wait, is this the vowel thing?
Yeah, no, that's a different one. It's a different one.
I love it.
It's how every race and culture has a way of saying the Lord's name in vain during the act of coitus, right? So in Filipino, when a white girl's like, "Oh my God," or Jamaica's like, "Lord Jesus Christ, mercy," you know, a Filipino would be like, "Oh my God, oh my God," you know. So now I'm doing that, and all the wait staff working at this venue comes out to deliver the food, which is already like distracting everybody from me. All this food's coming out, but now all the servers are Filipino women. So they're looking at me like, this piece of shit. Why is she talking about us like that? And I'm just like, everyone, I was bombing the biggest bomb of my life. So bad that I stopped midway and said, you know what, guys? Sometimes you just got to take your L's. I am so ashamed. Full refund. You do not have to. I got paid, but you're getting your money back for this one. I'm sorry. I hope I didn't ruin your night too much. I'm not always like this. This doesn't always happen. You know, that's what he said. And then I said, good night. I peace out. I dipped out right away. I didn't even say anything.
How did you find it to go back on stage after that?
The next 2 days, I'm doing my freaking Kevin Hart LOL taping.
That happened before that?
That was the last show I had before the Kevin Hart LOL taping. So my heart was so humbled because I was on my high horse. So I needed that. It was actually the perfect humbling moment to be like, no, Norm, don't go out there thinking you're this shit. Get right back. Tighten, see what you can, polish. Not everything is like good to go. So I had to sit there, write everything out because I normally just have it in my head. But because I was just shooting, at the hip, just whatever I had, I was like, no, Norm, have it set and regimented perfectly front to back. Know your shit, handle it right, and boom, and that was it, man.
There's a lot of lessons in that storytelling. Wow, you talked about being like, you have to be humble. You talked about grabbing a hold of the information you had where you were successful, so reaching for that. You talked about humility. You talked about pacing and being patient with yourself and taking your craft seriously when the opportunity presents itself. Those are huge ways to remove blocks. So like this is why you continue to move up the ladder of what you're doing, because you get the block, because it's clear you get them. Blocks are how you handle it.
Blocks are I don't want to call them necessary, but they're inevitable. That's what they are. Blocks are inevitable, right? And I bring up Filipino culture again because another Filipino trait is we don't waste anything. We're notorious for leftovers. Okay, we call it baon. Okay, we love taking leftovers. We're master leftover container creators. You give us anything, we'll find a way to like take home. We'll bring Tupperware to a freaking Japanese Korean barbecue. You know what I'm saying? We'll take leftovers. But all that said, like I never waste a moment, good or bad. Whether it's a bomb, whether it's a victory, whether it's a dub, whether it's an L, I make sure every moment that happens never goes to waste. Like I'm making sure to use that as something. It's either fuel to my fire, as a new joke, a new experience to speak on, a new lesson learned, just a new conversation piece, a new story to tell with my friends. Like everything is always useful. It can be used for something. So I never allow anything bad or good to go to waste.
Yeah, man. That's really good.
Milk that cow the best way I know how.
Hey, it's there for you to take, so take it.
Yeah.
That's dope. I think you approach your life in a really healthy and positive way, regardless of the fact that there might have been negative things that happened or that you found yourself in. You've spun it well. Yeah, you doing well. We're gonna do this thing called Would You Rather.
All right.
So, would you rather perform at a sold out stadium or a small intimate club?
Ooh. I like sold out stadium because I know it comes with money. But if I was to get paid and I was just doing a feature, the feeling of performing in front of an intimate crowd is like no other. Because, I mean, performing in front of an arena, that's like no other also. But
I'm sure.
There's something. I'm a Cancer. I'm a sensitive Cancer. I'm a Filipino, born in the week of the empath, and 7-day Adventist plus Canadian. Like, oh, sorry, so overly. I'm way too. I feel the feels way too strong. Okay, my feels are feelsy. Okay, so
my feels are feelsy. I like it. Wait, I would think that it depends on your comedy, I guess, because if you're the kind of person that needs to talk to the people that you can really connect to and see, I would think that would be harder in a big stadium versus like in an intimate club.
Oh yeah, that's where I was trying to get to. I want to feel the feels with the people in front of me.
Yeah.
On an intimate level, because I used to be afraid of seeing eyes and smiles or just facial expressions while I would perform. Right. And there was a lot of people I'd feel comfortable because I couldn't see them. I could just audibly hear laughter.
Yes.
And when I first started comedy, I say I was fortunate, but also unfortunate because I was spoiled with large crowds out the gate. Right. Jay Martin, Trix, West Hype from Juice Comedy, all these guys were putting me in front of these large crowds and these large theaters in front of the Black community in Toronto, and I thought that was normal. And then next thing you know, I go to other comedy clubs outside of the Black circuit, and it's just like these small, dinky, basement bars and clubs, and all the beer taps look like they have hepatitis C, and it's just it's just not an ideal place to on a weekly basis, daily basis, because right? You realize later on, the gym is not glamorous. You're not going to the gym to look at fucking chicks work out. If you're a true gym rat, you're going to work out. So when you're going to these comedy shows on a Wednesday night, on a Tuesday night, bucket mic, open mic, like you're going because you're trying to practice your craft. And the only way you get better is when you're on stage in front of the people, whether it be a bunch of comics there waiting their turn or people watching the Leafs game, but just so happen to be there. Like,
so weird.
They're all necessary to build your thick skin so you can handle all the treacherous situations that come with comedy.
Man, I would think that would force you to have to rely more on your storytelling than on like that kind of, let me pick this person out of the crowd, because you don't know how it's going to go down.
Well, sometimes people don't have the attention span to listen to a full story.
Oh man, that's crazy.
You gotta hit them with like one-liners, or you gotta hit them with like big zingers, and if that one's not working, and you can't finish the story anymore because no one is fucking with it out the gate. So boom, they gotta pull it all audible, and
Do you ever have to pivot that on stage, like live? Like you had a plan to start with this story, and then you realize how the crowd's reacting, and then you just pivot into like the one-liners?
Every
Or
time.
you just do your bit?
Every time.
Wow.
Every single time. I'll write down my shit, but I'll never do it exactly in line because sometimes you have to just switch it up.
Wow.
Or sometimes I just didn't memorize it in sequence, but I just know those are the jokes that I wanted to do.
Yeah,
so I'll just like find a way. And sometimes I always know how to weave and just interchange the spots of each jokes where they can still flow.
Mm-hmm.
But
wow.
Yeah.
One day I want to know.
I'm sure like say it again.
Oh, I was going to say the construction of a joke, like how you're able to know where you could pivot to, because I think that that's an art, to be able to have this plan to say a story and realize the crowd's not really feeling it and know exactly what part to cut out and what to implement to still have it hit and land. That's talent for sure. That's dope.
So I have this 10-year-old, or like, yeah, it's about a 10-year-old joke. I only do it sometimes, right?
Okay.
And it's this joke where I say I love soul music so much, but the most soulful song that I enjoy singing is the Star Spangled Banner sung in the key of African American soul. Right? And it's just like there's nothing more soulful than an African American singing the Star Spangled Banner. Like
it's true.
That song's like a 60-minute song. They'll stretch it for like 9 minutes, with all those riffs and ad libs, and it'll sound glorious. I didn't watch Manny Pacquiao versus Mayweather to watch Manny Pacquiao fight only. I watched it to hear Jamie Foxx sing the hell out of that anthem. Right? But
awesome.
I will literally sing that. I would sing it and do my impression of that. And, people would be amazed at my singing ability, but also at the comedic timing within the music and within the singing. Very Jamie Foxx-esque. That's why people would call me like, oh, you're like the Filipino Jamie Foxx, Norman. Yeah. I love that.
And it's true.
So I'll eat that one up. I'll take that compliment every day.
Sure.
But so I had that for 10 years. Well, it's a 10-year-old joke, but I stopped using it. But then I had this new joke. Well, okay, so I'll give you context. At the end of that joke, I ended off with, I go from, and the home of the brave. I go, Ray, my darling, you. And I just like Houston.
Yes.
Right? And they start dying, right?
Oh my God.
But I didn't realize later on in life that I could set up that Whitney Houston bit as a callback. So earlier on in the bit now, I'm like, how could I create this and turn that part of the song and the bit into a callback? So I'm like, I'm going to go back. And I don't know if you've ever seen those videos of those dusty Filipino dudes rocking a marina and they got missing teeth and messy Manny Pacquiao hair. And like, okay, I want to sing you a song, and then proceed to sing hell out of Celine Dion covers. You know what I mean? And then right after they're like, after they finish saying the power of love, they're like, okay, thank you very much. Okay. It's like, how does your voice go from there to there and back? You know what I mean? But so what I would do is I'd be like, you ever see those Filipino guys just in a dusty shirt, whatever, looking like Manny Pacquiao with missing teeth, all of a sudden sing the hell out of a Whitney Houston song and be like, if I should have stayed. Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye. So then I would go back to the end of the anthem and going back into the Whitney Houston song and then be like, okay, thank you, bye. And it's my stupid callback. But it took 10 years to find that little addition. So that's how you know a joke never really ends.
It never really ends. Wow, that's dope.
Always can you to to modify it, to change it up. So yeah,
I guess, that makes sense. That makes sense. I want to do a would you rather, but it kind of leads into what I want to talk about too. It says, would you rather create a comedy special that goes viral or a culinary dish that becomes legendary? And I bring that up, and I don't know what you're going to answer, but I heard you worked for Marshall Montano for 4 years, and it said live in. So you were there on the road with this person. You were there. So I don't know how important your culinary side is, but that's what the question is. You prefer a comedy special or a culinary dish? A legendary culinary dish.
If a dish was named after Norm, oh man, I would have to go with the dish. Not gonna lie, man. Only because jokes can be, I guess, dishes can be ruined all the time.
Yeah.
If you don't do it right, if you don't follow the recipe.
It's true.
But if, when people say, oh, where does poutine come from? Who created poutine? Not everybody knows. And there was some people like, who's General Tao? Like, that's a fictitious person. They just gave that shit the name. It's called General Tao. But if it's on some like Colonel Sanders KFC bucket recipe shit, where now they're gonna remember my face forever, and I'm synonymous with like family cookouts and just soul food and
right,
and maybe a little bit of colonizer, but I don't want that part. But I want to be remembered for like the good vibes that you feel when you eat this dish, because not everybody will remember a joke.
It's true.
A joke can get forgotten. But food, everybody gonna eat every day, and they're always gonna remember. Hey, that's an option.
That is facts, hard facts.
That Norm dish, Ooh, you ever try? What would it be called? You ever eat? Ooh, it'll be la Normande, à la Normande. That's what it'd be called. So it'd be like, ooh, is that steak à la Normande? Yes, Norman style.
Wow, you must be a really good cook to want to do that. But
yeah, only because I know that food is more memorable than a joke.
But in getting in with Marshall, was it your comedy or your cooking that got you into the door? How did that happen?
It was 3 things. It was vibes. It was, I had to make sure that I added to the vibes. I was a good addition, and I wasn't a burden. I didn't take away from anything. Like, no, Norm's gonna be a vibes guy for sure. He's the sergeant of Vibes Patrol. Okay. And then my buddy was my best friend and roommate at the time was his manager. And he's vegan. So when he was like, yo, Norm, I need you to come on the road with me and keep me healthy because I can't find enough vegan food to sustain my diet in Trinidad. So can you just cook for me? Because, I would cook for him all the time living at home, And he's like, you just keep me fed. And then one day I was cooking for Che in Marshall's crib because I was just living, I was staying at, they had me set up in Marshall's crib temporarily before they moved me elsewhere. And when I was cooking for Che, Marshall's just like, yo, Che, why is you hogging the chef, man? I told you I want to eat our food. Tell your chef to make me a thing, man. All right. So Che was like, yo, Norm, cook up Marshall something, but this is your chance, man. Impress him.
Right.
I'm like, yo, chef. I'm like, yo, Marshall, what you like? He's like, oh, I love Chinese food. I love Indian food. I'm like, what's your favorite Chinese dish? I'm like, I'm good at Chinese food. So he's like, I want some pepper shrimp. I'm like, oh, I looked up Chinese and I'm like, show me a picture. Show me the exact recipe, the place that you like to get it from. He showed me the Chinese spot. I Googled it, looked it up. I'm like, easy. I know I can look at something and know and deconstruct it in my mind. Like, this could be that. This could be this.
That's crazy.
Boom. I'm trying to do my own version of it. So I made my version of it. And he's like, whoa, shit, hired. Hart, my Woogo. And I just started working for him too. So I was cooking for him and Shay, but then I'm those considerate Filipino dudes that always have to make sure, like, oh, okay, no, you have to eat too. You have to eat. Hey, did you eat something? And this man had a 52-person entourage.
Oh, wow.
Right. So I made sure to flex all my Marshall privileges. And every time we'd go to a fete 50 deep with his entourage and staff, I would run to all these. It's some were all inclusive fetes. Some you still had to pay for your food. But I would run around to each vendor and be like, yo, I am Marshall Montano's chef. And he'd be like, you're Montano. I was like, why would I be wearing this suit? Why would some Filipino dude with a Canadian accent be rocking a Marshall Montano exclusive shirt that's not for sale? All right. It's only for staff. Come at you on some Marshall chef needs food for Marshall 20 doubles deep stat.
Wow.
And I'll get a picture to endorse and tag you and endorse you guys or something. He just needs 20 doubles right now. Skipping the line, you know? And
that's
like,
hilarious.
They're like, yeah, you know what? The you was telling the truth. Boom, boom. So they just set me a couple little box, 20 doubles, you know, slide pepper, and then go to the next spot. Marshall needs 20 beef patties. Stat.
So you're making sure everybody eats.
Collecting all this shit. Marshall don't even eat beef, you know.
Right.
I'm collecting all this shit, and then I just go and feed everybody. I'm like, here. You know, security, eat this. Here, dancers, eat this. Here, only certain people were fed in the green rooms, right? Like the dancers and so other people that didn't eat, I always made sure they ate, and that's why they kept me on because they're like, no, this guy like goes above and beyond and finds ways to do things.
Yeah, you're innovative.
It wasn't just a chef; it was also like I was food manager because I wasn't cooking all the time, and mind you, it was like, how did you get a job cooking for the king of Trinidad? Hey, I didn't even know how to cook Trinidadian food. I'm like, first and foremost, I'm not going to Trinidad and cooking man Trinidadian food. I'm going to find the Trinidadian food from our Trini in Trinidad who's been cooking it for their whole life, and I'm going to bring that to him. Okay?
Right.
Just give me the budget. I have the budget. I will buy it and bring it back because there's no way I'm going to try and attempt to bastardize Trinidadian food the king of Trinidad. You know what I'm saying? So...
You are crazy talented, like I said.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's like the kitchen and the stage. They're both places of creation and expression, and you seem to have got a lock on that.
Yeah, you know, it's one of those things where I just really needed to find my groove in the things that I enjoyed doing already.
Right.
You know, find a way to align it with my career goals so that it doesn't become work. It's just, you know, I'm playing and making money off my play, but cooking became a bit too much of a chore. It became too hard, so I backed off.
Balance it all.
But then comedy is just as hard, but it's like, you know, it's what you choose. Yeah. You know, it's the lesser of the two poisons. I don't know. It's the choice I made, and it's the one I could live with. You know.
Yeah. And I think it allows you to have a lot of movement. Although you were with Marshall, I think the comedy is different in the sense that there's a lot more that can build off of it, and to the point of like having you in the movie and expanding that area of your life. It's such a gift. I really wanted to have you, Trix, and White Yachty in the movie. White Yachty was supposed to be the Tyrone character who had like 5 kids because he was a failed comedian, and he just loved it. And that was his role. But you know, he was on the road and it just didn't align with Wes's schedule at the time. So, but that's why I'm like, when this thing becomes an actual show, I look so forward to being able to have a role in the casting, because I think there's so much that can be done, and you guys are mad talented. So I'm just happy that I had that foresight to put you in. What did it feel like for you being in the movie? Because we didn't know each other. You're like, who's this chick that wants to put me in a movie?
Well, to be quite honest with you, when I didn't know what to expect, but I was flattered. I was honored, because when I saw the prospective cast list, I was like, oh, these are all familiar faces that I grew up with, or the people that I know or know through the grapevine, or that I've seen on television. Like, Romeo from Student Bodies and whatnot. Like, I was like,
Mark Taylor.
right? Shout outs to Mark Taylor. Um, so I was just happy to be even considered first and foremost. And when you guys allowed me to just do my thing, kind of like insert myself into the character,
Yes.
an exaggerated version of self. And it's not a complete reflection of me, by the way. It was just very fun. I felt so comfortable. I didn't feel nervous. I didn't feel any of those feelings you feel on sets that are predominantly white. Speaking of two white
Oh,
people,
true.
as I said, that two old white lady Karens walked by me.
But this was I would say a 95 to 98% BIPOC film. Like the production, the crew, the cast, everything. Even the sound, the music is 99% Canadian. Yeah. So I love that. I like to support the people that come from where I come from, because there's a lot of talent here and we just don't have an infrastructure to help us like launch a real career off of it. Right, so anything I can do for myself and for others, I always try to. And I guess that this is a part of it because mental health is so important to me. So I want to end with these last couple of questions, because I don't think people really think about, how do you celebrate yourself? How do you describe your perfect day off? Because you need them.
Ooh. Yeah, that's a difficult question, man. Only because I get anxiety. It's unfortunate, but I get anxiety when I'm still. I always feel this form of guilt, because I know there's always something that's needed to be done.
Right.
And you may be in debt to creditors, but sometimes in life, you can feel in debt to life, to your family, to you fall behind in like the time you spend with certain people, with certain friends, or certain creative endeavors. Like you just fall behind in the things you want to do. Yeah. And it's just like when it comes to relaxing, you're like, how can I relax when I know this needs to be done? But in order for this to be done, I gotta be in a certain state of relaxation so I can do it in an efficient and proper manner.
Exactly.
So it's like trying to acknowledge that and stay present in that moment of relaxation and meditation or whatever it may be, to just let go of whatever is bringing you up or bringing you down. Sometimes you just gotta like reflect, or if not reflect, not think.
Exactly. Just be. But if that's uncomfortable, that's definitely a block, because you could run yourself into the ground.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So I have these problems where I can't watch movies in its full entirety because I'm like watching and then I'll think of something and then I'll be like, okay, let me do that real quick. Let me pause it real quick, do it, and the next thing you know, I'm not watching the movie anymore, or like my attention is gone because maybe it's a little slight minor OCD with a bit of ADHD and a little short-term memory loss from smoking a bit too much WE.
I relate, trust me.
All the letters.
Trust me, I get it. I was going to ask you the best advice you ever had, but instead I'm going to ask you what you thirst for. Mm-hmm. What do you thirst for?
I thirst for a moment when I can relax.
I knew it. Because then
I'm okay. I'm like, everything's all good, right?
Yes.
I'm always in a constant, I hate to say it, I worry a lot. But not in a negative manner. It's more so, it comes from a place of good intent. Like, I just want things to be good, right? And some things that are out of my control, I still worry about. But, like, I hope I can come to a point in my life where I just let it be.
Yeah.
Like,
I pray that for you. Okay. I pray that for you because I think that you've relied on grabbing for so many things to cook up something for the moment. And I hope you can see that you've been there and you've done that. and that you can now just rely on the talent because you don't have to prove it anymore. Your talent is there. It's intact. You've paid your dues. You know what I mean? So my last question is always, where are you still unblocked? But I think we've uncovered that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is, man. And I know worrying can be healthy because it means you care and that you want to do well.
Yes.
There comes a point where, and like the words of that one song, just don't worry, man, be happy.
Yes, don't worry, be happy.
Well, as it sounds, just don't worry, Norm. It'll be okay, and it normally is okay.
Yes, it is.
But I guess my yearning to always make sure everyone around me is good. When I could say, if you're good, I'm good.
Okay.
So that's when my worry is free.
Yes.
Right? And it all stems from the people that I love, and if they're good, then I'm good. If the crowd is good, then I'm good. If the people I'm feeding is good, then I'm good.
So good. I'm feeling good. I hope you're feeling good too. I want to thank you so much.
Great feeling.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
No, thank you so much for sharing your vulnerability, your wisdom, your insights, all of those, your storytelling, but you're not realizing that you're really setting people free with how you do what you do and understanding that possibly they can do it too. So with that, I just want to thank everybody who's listening to the Writer's Block podcast. I want to thank my sponsors, TRF Media. Big up yourself, Mello. Feel Better Soon, producer extraordinaire, and my personal wine bottle, Thirsty AF by CH Hot and Wine. That up. This is LA Wade. Man, you know that the LCBO is closed and people are hitting me up all over the place because I carry Chardonnay, Riesling, Moscato, Rosé, Merlot. If you need, I got, that's what I'm slinging on the street right now.
LA Capone out here? Prohibition?
I'll own that. Listen, everyone, I'm your host, LA Wade. You can reach me at This Is LA Wade Inc. Or if you want to follow the creative journeys of our guests, go to the writersblock.podcast on IG. Norm, where are you now and how do we reach you?
You can find me on all platforms at Big Norm Alconcel. My name is Norman Alconcel, but I took out the AN because anal pops in the middle when you fuse it together. So it's just Norm Alconcel. Big Norm Alconcel on all social media, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. And you can find me on tour with my brother Keith Pedro all over North America. We're going all over this summer: Hawaii, California, Phoenix, Vegas, Chicago, Detroit, Minneapolis, Atlanta, Boston, Virginia, a whole bunch of places. Yeah, and I'm also going to be getting out of this rain right now because it's about to.
Oh my gosh, be careful. Be careful. Be careful. All right, everybody, remember you're more resilient than you think. He proved it. And, keep writing, keep sharpening your skills. Happy creating. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Blessings, salad dressings.
You're listening to the Writer's Block podcast.